Welcome back to Bluebonnet News, Headlines, and Heartlines. I'm your host, Vanessa Brazier, owner and publisher of Bluebonnet News. Today, I'm joined by Briscoe Cain, State Representative for House District 128. He's labeled by the New York Times as a rising conservative firebrand and the Houston Chronicle as an aggressive champion for conservative causes. Briscoe Cain has served in the Texas House since 2017, representing the community where he was raised. He has chaired the House committees on elections and agriculture and livestock, worked on legislation related to border security, election integrity, and support for Texas farmers, and has built a reputation as a staunch advocate for his district. Now he's running as a Republican candidate for the newly created U.S. Congressional District 9, which includes Liberty County and part of East Harris County. Today we're going to talk about his work in the legislature, his priorities if elected to Congress, and the issues he believes matter most to Texans, from border security and education to the economy and infrastructure. Briscoe, thank you for joining me today.
Hi, Vanessa.
It's
I'm
nice.
excited.
So you've served in the Texas legislature since 2017. What first motivated you to run for office, and how has your perspective evolved over the years?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I had some times where I'd lost some elections before that. I actually once ran for precinct chair and lost, but now my wife's my precinct chair, and some folks out on the campaign trail may get to meet her as well. She's an awesome woman. Sometimes people like her more than me, and I'm okay with that.
Burgundy.
She's a little better looking. Yeah. But it was really an extension, kind of an outgrowth of my faith. And so before running for office, I worked on campaigns, and frankly, I was concerned. I ran against an incumbent who, no exaggeration, voted with the Democrats more than he did with Republicans. He'd been there for 14 years. They spent something like $1.6 million to $160,000. And in a runoff, we won by 23 votes. You can certainly say every vote matters, and we've been there since.
That's awesome. So how did you decide, why did you decide to run for this new congressional district, and what makes this district significant to you personally?
Okay. Well, I think right now I believe we're seeing kind of a revival of bold Christian conservatives that are kind of unafraid to speak the truth and to fight back against the woke mind virus that's trying to destroy this country. And I've got a record to run on over this last decade, having fought on those important topics that we'll probably get into those details of. But when the maps came out, and I was really neat to be there to help draw those. Some people don't realize that it's the Texas legislature that writes the redistricting maps. And look, when they came out and it showed how much I'd already represented of my hometown and in the area that I love, it was hard to look away. So I made some phone calls, and my wife was fully on board, and friends were, and we decided that I believe Washington needs some fighters, and I think I'm qualified to do that. And the mission's pretty simple, which is to go to Washington, represent the people of Texas, help Trump succeed in his second term, to fulfill his promises to the American people, and continue to do the right things.
How do you balance your role as a legislator and attorney and father of 5 boys while staying connected to the people you represent?
Mm-hmm. Well, busy folks and any busy person that's even listening to it kind of realizes they've managed a way to find more than 24 hours in a day. And it comes with being very intentional and work-life balance. One of the things is for our family, we homeschool. We have 5 boys, by the way, all named after Texas counties. When we're in Austin, the whole family goes up there together. My boys have had a kind of a really unique childhood, but that allows us to be around each other. That's part of that work-life balance. And same thing with law, that thankfully, kind of post-COVID world, good or bad, there's a lot of kind of virtual things. I'm able to be, an attorney without being physically present. There's still a lot of court hearings that happen that way. And so, technology's allowed us to balance it, but it's also the choices we made as a family to prioritize certain things and be around each other.
That's good. Yeah, you mentioned your children. You've got Maverick and, let's see, they're all named after Texas counties. Mm-hmm. So what are your children's names?
Briscoe, we call him Quattro. He's the 4th. Walker, Crockett, Maverick, and Hockley.
Now, what if you have a 6th?
That would be by adoption.
But you did recently adopt a dog, and it's also named after a county name.
Yes, her name is Liberty.
That was a good choice.
It was. It happened to be the prior dog was named Baylor, so we worked out on Liberty.
Yeah.
There's a lot of names to choose from, you know.
Liberty's a good name.
You go with some odd ones, maybe Deef Smith.
Yeah. But Liberty's a good one.
I agree.
That's a good one. So, border security has been one of your top priorities. So, what specific actions do you believe are most effective at securing the border and addressing humanitarian concerns? Because it's challenging balancing both.
Yeah, it's kind of an all of the above approach, but it's kind of sadly we weren't really taking that. And so under the prior administration, Texas was left to us to do something, and we took a lead on that. And so in 2017, I was actually the first state legislator in the nation to file a bill to help build Trump's border wall. Then the way we actually got it done that time is we used it as flood infrastructure. It was just flood infrastructure down there that happened to be too tall for you to climb over. There were essentially concrete walls that, because of the flooding that occurs down the Rio Grande, we were able to actually convince the Democrats to go along with us, not realizing what it was really about, to bring some wall in there. But not just from bringing funding towards it, being part of Operation Lone Star and helping fund that, to supporting our governor and putting up the buoys and ensuring that, some people know this, when the judge ordered Texas to take them down, we said no, and those buoys are still there.
They've been effective, right?
They've been very effective. You cannot cross over them. Now, the wall doesn't work everywhere, believe it or not. Some of the ground in those areas is too sandy. It's been even tough for National Guard to even put chain link fences in it. So some areas we need walls. Some areas we need electric technology. We've also supported and worked a lot to clear a lot of brush and shrub there that people hide in. It's called the Briscoe Cain eradication program. So that
what is it called?
Briscoe Cain eradication program.
Okay.
It's an invasive cane that puts these thickets down the border that the illegals, the cartels, and the smugglers hide in down there. And so we've been eradicating that, pulling up so you can have visibility along the border. That also allows for Border Patrol and troopers and guardsmen to be able to patrol it.
Sounds like it would be safer for them.
It is a lot safer because of visibility. Because some of these people, like you're saying, humanitarian effort, some of these people do need help. They end up having medical issues. We can't get to them when they're having problems. So, but right now, for the last 3 months, there have been 0 illegal crossings in Texas, and that was by no mistake. Thankfully, the governor did a lot of work on that. I mean, there were some neat trick plays where even our state's National Guard were able to take some things back from the feds. One day we'll get into a longer story of how we pulled that off, but it was pretty cool. And now we've got President Trump who's being very supportive of our state. And you can kind of see the results. I don't think without Governor Abbott and the legislature supporting those efforts to send illegals to other cities so that they could experience what Texans and people down here have experienced. I don't think we would have seen the victory that Trump had in 24, or the polling to see that it's a problem and that something needs to be done.
Because they didn't have to experience it.
They've never experienced. They've never seen the crime that comes with it, or the humanitarian issues that comes with it, or the sudden influx of children who don't know your culture or language into your public schools.
Okay. So some Texans support expanded border measures for safety, while others worry about the cost of unintended consequences. How do you approach the balance?
I'm not sure what unintended consequences may be there, but certainly if we're talking financial costs, it is entirely worth us investing in our border infrastructure because of the cost it has on American citizens. I'm excited to see that the current administration, because the last one was, not putting American citizens first. I'd say that America is for American citizens, and our people should be the priority, whether that's for other nations or citizens who are illegally here. Let's just be frank with what it is. The state continues to make record investments in the border, in spite of the federal government sometimes. I want to say it's 2019 or so when I was part of helping pass a law that banned sanctuary cities to ensure that people were following the law. And that's ultimately the biggest problem. We have laws that are on the books, and for too long people have ignored those laws. And so we either need to enforce the laws that Congress passed or change the laws if you don't like them. Right now the laws are that it's illegal to cross that border. And it needs to be done in a proper way. We need to have good legal immigration with people from countries that we've vetted. But look, if you're here illegally, you need to go home and come back the right way.
So if you're elected, how would your approach to border security differ? Would there be any difference if you were elected to Congress, or would it just be a continuation of the same principles?
I think the difference would be it would be kind of a more of a proper role, right? Like that should be something the federal government was doing. They weren't, and so Texas picked up the slack. Thankfully, I think it would allow us to advocate for Congress to open up more of their, the purse and use some federal money. Now, again, money's all fungible, and this is still taxpayer dollars, but it's a whole lot more helpful if the rest of the country is helping chip in to secure the border than just Texans doing it on their own. Because what we're doing is for the rest of the country. It's not just for our people. It matters.
It's been pretty expensive for Texas.
It has been, and if we didn't have that beautiful black stuff that comes out of the ground, we wouldn't be able to afford it.
Yeah. So let's move on to education. Is that okay? You've spoken about what you call woke indoctrination in schools. Can you explain what that means to you and what concerns you have? Mm-hmm. What are you hearing from parents?
It's parents and teachers. I mean, I'll give you an example. Many may recall, the teachers that were exposed for kind of mocking the gruesome murder of a father and a young Christian activist on campus, what happened to Charlie Kirk. And there were several teachers I helped expose on that as well. But when we looked at them, for example, it wasn't just that statement mocking Charlie's death. Once I exposed them, I had parents come forward and say, well, they would bully my child if they expressed their Christian faith in the classroom, if they disagreed with what I call woke things. I mean, believing that a child can change gender is woke. Believing that socialism is a good thing is woke. People know what it is when they see it, and that parents come forward. I've had teachers thank me for doing this, that they're afraid to speak up because these type of people are bullies. And frankly, right now, the mood, if you look at the polling, people are really dissatisfied with public education. Well, why is that? Because there's a couple of these bad eggs in there that are ruining the rest of it for everybody. We've got to clear house, purge these woken educators out of our classroom so that we can have a higher quality of life for our teachers who want to teach. I don't even want to call those people teachers, right? They're indoctrinators. They make good teachers look bad so we can pay our teachers properly so they can enjoy the jobs they're doing and kind of get back to educating our kids and not indoctrinating them. The Texas legislatures had to step in on several occasions. This session alone, we had to pass a bill that allowed for an immunity waiver so that people could bring lawsuits against teachers for molesting kids. Ugh. And one of the most fascinating ones while we were debating that bill, Representative Mitch Little, he's from North Texas, a member of the other party walks up and says, well, why doesn't this apply to private schools? And his answer was, because I've already sued private schools. It means it already applies to them. We needed to apply here. We've had systems where schools would, quote unquote, would call it pass in the trash, where they would hide it. They would just, instead of handling what the teacher had done, maybe it was a sexual inappropriate relationship with a student, instead of bringing it to the authorities, they would just terminate the person and let them go to another school. If you don't hold them accountable, they don't get a record. They can go teach again. So we said, no, you can't pass the trash.
Passing along the problem.
We must expose it because the good teachers deserve to have the bad ones exposed, for one. Parents deserve it. And we need to ensure that we're educating our children, not indoctrinate them. The other things that go on is we've had social transitioning of children in our schools. We had these teachers who would convince these children that there's something else, okay, that genders some spectrum. And there's two types of transitioning. There's social and medical. We banned medical in a prior session. We also banned social transitioning of children in our schools this session. So yes, it is a critical issue. Parents really, really, really care about it because, gosh, they're working and they have this expectation that when they drop their child off at school, they wouldn't come home hating the things their families stood for. So I think it's an American security issue. It's a national security issue. It will determine our nation's future is what we've taught our children. It is critical to our kind of our structure of liberty that. As you look at the Founding Fathers believing that, right, we'd have a republic if we could keep it, but that our laws and our Constitution were designed for a moral people. And if we're not teaching that character and those morals, our country will be no more.
So how do you go about purging that kind of influence?
Sunlight's a great disinfectant. And thankfully that we live in the information age and it is being exposed. Gosh, if it may not make some of your mainstream media, but I almost see a daily report of a teacher being exposed either for inappropriate relationship with a child, it's happened male and female teachers, or for the things that are going on in the classroom. Kids sometimes, are sneaking their phones and they record it and it gets back to us. I once had a teacher in Baytown that I helped expose and get fired, and thankfully the parents came to me It was an anti-Trump homework assignment. The correct answer to the assignment was that Donald Trump needed to be impeached.
So there was no other answer?
Even if you believe that was the answer. The answer was that. Why was that in the classroom?
Yeah.
I mean, you could have that debate at home or something like that, but that had no reason to be in the classroom. That's not what the legislature had said were within our teaks and what they should be teaching. Just more examples of crazy stuff, but some take it as me being against public education. While I homeschool my children, that's kind of our lifestyle allows us to be around each other. This is pro-public education by getting rid of the trash.
Now, didn't Governor Abbott sign a bill this week that says no men in women's restrooms?
Yeah, we did some of those signings. Yes, so that's been a big issue. I've filed bills on it. We've also passed bills. Sometimes people file duplicates. A few sessions ago, we passed one that banned boys and girls sports from the high school level down. We've also finally done it on the collegiate level with NCAA. And we had to pass some stuff, one, to protect them in their private spaces. So one of the bills that he just signed had to do with local governments and governmental entities to make sure they don't have boys and girls restrooms, that they have to have gender-assigned restrooms. And if they don't, there's some civil penalties to it. So it's to enforce the law. This is really important. These are no-brainers.
How do you respond to criticism that would alienate transgender students?
There's only two genders. It's really simple. God made male and female. Those students could go to a single stall restroom, and the schools do have that if they want to do that. That is available, and so I wouldn't say it would alienate them at all. The problem is, history's shown when we look at these transgender athletes, they've assaulted these female students. Female students have been sexually assaulted by them and verbally assaulted. They don't want them there. They don't feel safe. Women should have a safe place. For Pete's sakes, Title VII, its entire purpose was to allow women to have their own sports in college. And now we're seeing that space be invaded by men. You cannot compete with men. We all know that. What's funny is it's not the other way around. You're going, are we trying to keep girls out of boys' sports? No, it's not an issue. The law doesn't address that because it's not a problem. It's the problem the other way around. And so it is allowed, boys and girls sports, quote unquote, is allowed when there's not an alternative, right? Maybe there's a Frisbee team, okay? Well, they can have the bowling stuff, right?
Yeah.
You don't have a male thing, but if you have a male equivalent, you have softball, you have baseball. Right now you're seeing a trend of women's flag football that's coming up in order to give them an alternative. If they want to have that, they can do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, let's move on to infrastructure and the economy. So you've worked extensively on infrastructure and economic development, particularly in the energy and agricultural sectors. So what do you see as the biggest infrastructure needs in this district?
Mm-hmm. It's roads. Roads.
Dayton needs a bypass.
Dayton needs a bypass. Look, Deer Park needs a bypass. We are getting more and more rail because of what's coming out of the port.
Yeah. And
so people may have noticed the trains are getting longer and they're getting more frequent. And they're getting inconvenient. I wish they weren't so inconvenient, but federal law gives these guys almost this monopolistic protection. Mm-hmm. And it's old. It's from the 1800s.
Yeah, you can't fight that one.
I've taken them on. There are kind of ways, but you got to negotiate with them. You got to give them something else, right?
Yeah. We give us this crossing, and we'll give you this one.
Yeah. They've got the big stick, and you've got to recognize that. But because of Project 11, the deepening widening of the Houston Ship Channel, the expectation that in a few years we may be doubling the export capacity.
Where do we put it?
It has to go on the roads. Our rail system's not developed for that. That means containers on trucks, and it means they're coming out this way. Look,
Can we keep them on the interstates?
We've been trying to do that, yeah. And sadly, this was actually something our former senator for this area really didn't like. I've passed bills out of the House that, for example, would take tolls off of Highway 99 coming out of the ports from 146 to even 10, because the trucks, if they weren't paying tolls, they would use that and bypass everything. Mm-hmm. So we wanted to de-toll that. Mr. Nichols didn't allow that bill out of committee on two occasions. Maybe the next senator will allow those things. We also, some may not realize it, on I-10, when those barge strikes happen at the Sanderson River on I-10, that shuts everything down and causes chaos. But it's also a bottleneck there. I-10's 20 lanes in Katy. It's 6 lanes. They're in Baytown near Highlands. Mm-hmm. Just a few years ago, I was able to get $180 million dedicated from the state's budget in order to help match some of the federal funds. And soon, within by 2026, you will see construction begin on a new bridge that will be, a suspension bridge. It will be spanned without anything in the water, so we can prevent any barges from ever hitting it, and making it larger, giving more alternatives.
Are they ever going to finish Highway 90 between the Beltway and Houston? Because it's like you're going off the road, on the road, off the road, on the road.
That has been a request of mine that I've talked with TxDOT. I've also been trying to get more
push that
more
one
on-ramps on it, so especially kind of through Crosby, so there's not ways to get on that elevated lane.
Yeah.
It's a pretty inconvenient thing.
And by the time they get it built, it's going to be time to widen it.
It's so funny you say that. I've been told they're working on that. Also, back in Deer Park, there's listeners over there. 225, it can't go out, so we're going to go up. And there's a few proposals right now. They're going to have some elevated lanes. There's been discussions, one that I like, which would be to force the 18-wheelers into their own lanes. However, the science shows if everybody's on more lanes, it actually speeds it up. But I'm trying to get the 18-wheelers off the road just so regular people, it's safer, less broken windshields. I mean, if you work and drive through any of these industrial roads, you probably got a crack in your windshield.
Oh, I had a tool almost come through my windshield.
Oh my gosh, I've seen dangerous things like that too.
Terrifying. It bounced and then went over my vehicle, but it hit my glass.
Yeah, I remember a few years ago when someone got impaled.
Yeah, it killed him
on 146. That happened. But that's important. Infrastructure needs to be there to move stuff out. Yeah, there's some great stuff coming. Also with water, though, I was happy this session to be part of
protecting the water.
Record investments in water, and anybody that just went to the polls probably voted for the constitutional amendment regarding water. A lot of that funding, I believe a good half of it's going to go towards repairing old infrastructure. We realize that those pipes underground, because you don't see them, are leaking. Oof. Houston is losing 1 billion gallons a year from their leaky pipes. Water matters. I know we've got a lot of it here, but I'm telling you,
sinkholes and other problems too.
There you go, and it's coming. But that also means aging infrastructure here in this area.
We have that. I will tell you, a lot of our cities now are getting their water lines fixed. Like Dayton's got a big project going on right now because of grants. The cities don't have the money to do it. They need the federal and state support to get all of the water systems replaced.
There you go. Well,
and the sewer systems.
We just made an $8 billion investment.
Dayton's getting some great upgrades. Cleveland's had some great upgrades. Liberty's got a lot of road work done, so it's been a good year.
The growth's coming, and whether you like it or not, we got to do it smartly, and thankfully they need water when it gets there. And the state has made that investment, and I've been proud to kind of be a part of those things.
Yeah. Can we just hang a sign up that says Texas is closed?
Oh, it's totally closed. Look, if you're listening to this from somewhere else, don't come here. All it is rattlesnakes and desert.
Yeah.
All right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we don't want them to know there's trees.
No, it's snakes.
I'm concerned we're going to get like an exodus from New York after the election.
No, they should move to California.
California, that's a good place, yeah.
That's where they should go.
Yeah. I think we've got enough. I want my rural area to stay rural.
But if you do come here, please leave your values behind. Come adopt our values. The reason you're moving here is because of our values. So, so keep that stuff back in New York. Yes,
leave it where you had it. So let's talk a little bit briefly about your chairing the Agriculture and Livestock Committee, and how has that shaped your perspective on supporting rural economies? We've moved from agricultural area to more of an industrial area. Mm-hmm. Whether we like it or not, it just has happened.
Yeah, there's still about kind of 15 to 20% of the people here in Liberty County still have a connection to it, even if it's not their primary job. They still may have some cow or some ag. But yeah, I could see where people are concerned with the going away of those farms. I was the first, what you could call, suburban chairman of the Agriculture and Livestock Committee. I don't know what that means about our state, but it gave me a wonderful perspective of someone that grew up kind of in the suburbs. Well, I have a farm in Crosby, and I've kind of been around ag, and we do animals. So do my boys. It gives you a perspective of a different life you hadn't led, and where your food comes from. And that was a major focus, not just the MAHA movement this session alone, but when I chaired ag, we did some really groundbreaking things, namely what we call the right to farm. We're the first state to do it. It was also a constitutional amendment. We may have forgotten about it, but it's to protect our farmers, and it's to stop cities from overly regulating. So some people may live out in the county area and there's no regulations, but these cities, they were not, sadly. If you have an ag exemption on your property, that means they're not collecting any taxes. And so some of these wild places are putting regulations on these farmers to make it harder for them to operate in hopes that they will give that up,
Have to sell their
and
land.
do something else to develop it and make neighborhoods that'll make more money for the cities. And so the state came in, we led the effort, pushed the right to farm to protect agricultural operations. And
Because we want Texas to still be Texas.
we do, but also if that culture is not preserved and people aren't given the opportunity. So one of the things it actually does, believe it or not, if you don't live in if you live in an HOA, you're fine. But we preempted every city and county ordinance dealing with agriculture. You technically, right now, by the way, that's where you're seeing chickens in backyards. That's from the right to farm legislation. You could theoretically put a longhorn in your backyard in the city. You're not going to do it because you
Better have good fences.
broke it. You have to also comply with sanitation rules.
Yeah.
So
Maybe
if
a
you
little
could,
harder.
though, you have the freedom to do it. But there were places we want people to try their hand in growing carrots. You know what you're going to find out? It's really tough, but you'll have an appreciation for the farmer
That's right.
at the grocery store.
And what they do.
And there's that disconnect. I mean, you've seen the
Oh,
interviews
yeah.
with the men on the street. They don't know where their food came from.
Yeah.
And
And they don't have the stomach for it.
we can't depend on other countries for our fuel and our food. And that's what really was my kind of main mission when I was chairing Ag and Livestock, was to encourage more people to get into it, to protect our way of life, and to inform people of where their food comes from.
Let's talk about election integrity, because that was another one that was important to you. So you chaired the House Elections Committee and helped author election-related legislation that drew national attention. What were your main goals with those reforms?
Mm-hmm. So I think timing, this one's important. This is 2020 that led up to it. And so when we saw what happened in Pennsylvania, I boarded a plane with some other attorney friends of mine, went to Pennsylvania to work on the Trump team there. Had a good time. Actually, one of the case that we developed there became a U.S. Supreme Court case. The outcome wasn't what we wanted, but I learned a lot from that, and I litigated a lot of election stuff during that time period. Also sued the Libertarian Party a few times to knock them off the ballot because they were breaking some laws. And also, prior to doing that, I had sued Harris County over some of their election law violations. So in 2021, because of kind of my reputation of being a watchdog and a fighter and someone who understood the law, I was named chairman of the Elections Committee. Right, and in that time period, this is all post-2020. People were freaking out, and we wrote a massive omnibus bill that, for one, freaked the Democrats out so bad because it made it easier to vote and harder to cheat, that they broke quorum and ran off to D.C. Some of you may recall that, but when they got back, we got it done, and sincerely, we standardized election times so that when people go to vote, they know that it's always supposed to be open at 7. Go figure.
And why does it take days to get an outcome of an election?
Depending on your size, that can be the tough part. It shouldn't take days. And so we've ensured
we
that...
shouldn't have to wait days to find out who's president.
No, that makes Americans nervous.
Yeah.
And it's not a good thing, and too much fraud can happen. So we made it harder to cheat. We made, election fraud a felony. We made it harder to harvest ballots. We ensured that people could track their ballots. I don't know if you've known that. If you're a mail-in ballot person, you can now track it. You can know where the request came. You can know when it arrived. You can follow your ballot. So you can feel that your vote counted. I mean, what more sacred is there? Mm-hmm. And so that's really been our ultimate goal of it. I got rid of, for Harris County, one of the biggest issues was the election administrator wasn't following the law. Myself and Senator Paul Betancourt carried that bill, and we got rid of the election administrator and put it back to the elected person, the person people voted for, expecting to run their elections, the county clerk. Because that's who's accountable to the voters. When you have an election administrator, they're appointed by the county to do it. They don't care what the voters think.
A lot of the counties are starting to get away from election administrators.
Yeah, it needs to be the accountable
Liberty County
person.
had one, but now it's just the county clerk.
There's no reason. It's another layer of bureaucracy, and I trust the person we elected to do it. We should let them do it.
And if the people don't think that person's doing a good job, they'll get rid of them.
There you go.
So you're also an attorney who focuses on constitutional law, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So how has that background influenced your approach to policy making?
Well, it's been fun. So one of my focuses is not just on the First Amendment, on free speech. I do quite a bit of that litigation, but also on the state constitutional law. And we have our own Bill of Rights. People don't realize that. And I do a lot of work under that. And that's what's kind of, at least for Texas, it allowed me to really help and understand our laws and our procedures. But it prepared me for the fights. And so really, right out of law school, I didn't become a lawyer until 2013. But in 2014, I represented 5 Beaumont police officers out of the city of Beaumont. I had told them they could no longer pray or read their Bible on the lunch break. Well, that's crazy. By the way, that was an easy victory. Represented a teacher. This is in 2015, I believe. Before
Who said they couldn't read their Bible?
the city of Beaumont, the city attorney's office told them to stop that. They quickly backtracked.
Why?
Government just grows and wants to get in everybody's business. Somebody was nosy. This is a
Maybe it
people that
offended
you would
somebody?
hope. Yeah, right. This is a group you would hope you'd want them reading Bibles, having Bible studies, and camaraderie on their breaks. Good grief, leave the cops alone. I had a teacher fired for refusing to call a little boy a girl as his two moms demanded. We successfully done that. Just as an attorney, though, you may recall the undercover Planned Parenthood videos. David Dryden was the lead face on that. I represented David when he was indicted in Harris County. Successfully ran on that as well. I've represented people against cities over free speech issues. And by the way, you may not know her name. Her name is Shelley Luther. She'll be here in Liberty in a few days at an event for Representative Janice Holt. But she was the Dallas salon owner who was jailed for operating her business during COVID.
During COVID.
You recall that?
I remember that.
I represented Shelley and got her out of jail for her unconstitutional imprisonment. So that's it. It helped me legislatively, I guess, maybe to show that I'm just kind of fearless. And then I truly believe what I say I believe, right? I do it there. I do it in the courtroom. I do it at home. If you're wondering what I'll do, you know what I'll do because I've been doing it.
Mm-hmm. So if elected, what would your top priorities be?
The number one, right out of the gate, is to ensure that President Trump succeeds in his second term. The other priority is to...
And you mean second term this time?
Yeah.
Because people were like, oh, he's going to have a third term. No, he's not.
No, that's not
It's not constitutional.
That's not a real thing. It's continue to fight to end those magnets that we have here in Texas that are attracting the illegals. We need E-Verify fully. That's so that employers are vetting the right people. But that's that simple. Getting E-Verify, things like that, ensure that we're stopping the magnet, finish building the wall, and just protect Texans. I think ultimately, if we were to summarize the things that matter most to people and matter most to me, that is to ensure that our children, our grandchildren have a country, have a home that we experience, right? That they can have opportunity and safety and security, a freer country than we did. That is my heart, and I think it's the same heart. And so that could be the summary of what the mission is.
That's good. Well, so I end every one of these with rapid fire questions, okay?
Yeah.
So you just need to give me like a short response to these. These are just for fun. So what is your go-to order at a Texas barbecue joint? What does Briscoe order nearly every time?
Brisket.
Potato salad?
Brisket orders brisket. Potato salad. I like sauce. I like a little sauce in my potato salad sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm okay with my food's touch. I also love fried.
I'm not.
I love fried okra.
Fried okra. Mm. Is that a weak spot for you, fried okra?
Yeah. Now
my
wife doesn't like her foods to touch, and she likes ribs.
I don't like my foods to touch.
I've always found ribs to be a little dry, but yeah.
Yeah. So Buc-ee's or Whataburger, and why?
It's a funny one. I'm one of those that we stop at Buc-ee's when we drive through.
But do you stop at Whataburger?
I had a coffee and breakfast at Whataburger this morning.
Oh, good.
But look, when you've got a crew of 7 when you travel,
you're going to eat at a Whataburger at some
we're
point.
going to Buc-ee's
Buc-ee's.
for the restrooms
and drinks.
But certainly, yeah, I'm
Some
still
beaver
a
nuggets.
Whataburger, even though they sold out. And they're national now. There's still something Texas about it. I love the orange tents, and I like a good patty melt.
Well, you can go there and get a grilled chicken wrap too. You just tell them you want it on a tortilla instead of a bun.
Brilliant.
It's
Also,
brilliant, and
also
it's healthier.
The grilled chicken.
A number 11 on a tortilla, not a bun, dry. Then you can put like some light ranch on it. Yeah, it's good. So, favorite Texas country name or county name? Favorite Texas county name besides your son's namesakes?
Deep Smith.
Why do you like that one? Because it's weird?
It's just weird. It's fun. And by the way, people in Deef Smith call it Deaf Smith. Like, the culture has changed that much. Deef called his own name Deef. He was deaf, by the way. But the name is Deef Smith.
Deef Smith.
I've just always been fascinated by it.
Yeah, because it was named after a person.
Hartley. That would have been a girl's name. If we had to have a daughter, she would have been named Hartley. So I also like that one.
Yeah, that's a good one. And, of course, you chose Liberty already, so, for the dog. A new Australian Shepherd puppy, right?
Yeah, she's an Aussie Collie.
Yeah. She got in a little bit of trouble this past week.
Yeah, she killed a chicken.
She killed a chicken.
So.
Yeah, and then your children had a mock trial for her in the car.
They're bright boys. That was pretty impressive. I was
Yeah.
kind of impressed. I believe one of the boys who was playing judge said, "This is not a funeral; it's a trial."
Yeah, they were having a trial to see if she was guilty of hen slaughter.
Mm-hmm. Hen slaughter. Yep.
Yeah, that was funny. So if you could spend a weekend anywhere in Texas, where would it be? In Texas.
I know. I got the answer. It would be in the hill country somewhere on the Guadalupe River or the Frio. Mm-hmm. Out near Concan.
It's pretty, huh?
I used to really enjoy it out there, and there's just childhood memories.
Wimberley, maybe. That's a pretty place.
There you go. It's been fun taking the boys out to Garner and them dancing and having the bravery to ask a girl that's unknown who's certainly taller than them
To dance with them?
to dance and just sharing that culture. I love it out there.
That's funny. Cowboy boots or sneakers?
Cowboy boots.
So you have 5 sons. Who's the funniest one in the family?
Walker.
Who's the most serious?
Briscoe. Quattro.
Okay. Quattro? Okay. He's the firstborn though, right?
He is the firstborn, and he's going through puberty, and
He's very serious.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so which one did you say was the funniest?
Walker, he's number 2.
Number 2.
He's a ham.
He's a ham, really. He keeps everybody else cut up, huh?
And he tends to be a little mischievous as well. That goes along with the humor.
That's funny. So this is going to probably start a fight at your home, but who's the best cook, you or Burgundy?
Burgundy.
Really? What is the favorite thing she makes?
Man, there's a chicken pasta that I really like. It's kind of a Cajun chicken pasta. That'd probably be one of my favorites.
You probably don't have a lot of time for cooking.
No, we give it a shot. And she makes a great homemade chicken pot pie. It's something I always enjoyed as a child, and now I have enjoyed
That's comfort food.
the comfort food stuff. But
I made one last week.
my mother-in-law lives with us as well, which is a wonderful thing. When you have 5 boys, you'll appreciate it.
Oh, that's
she's
good.
one of my best friends, and occasionally we'll look at each other when the chaos is happening. Like, you want to get out of here? She's like, yeah, let's go. We'll sneak off together. We're dear friends.
That's a great mother-in-law.
She cooks as well and helps us out around the house. And so
I'm close to my son-in-laws.
there you go. Family matters.
I love my son-in-laws. So coffee or sweet tea to start your day?
Coffee, at least maybe 2 cups.
I haven't had coffee since I was 11.
Good for you.
It's crazy, isn't it? So what song always gets you fired up before a big day?
I have a station on Spotify that I'll put it on to, and this will be funny. May speak to my age group. There's some Christian rap I like that kind of will get me upbeat if I need some of that. That's where I'm at. Yeah, might show my age. I am 40, but that's my age group, man. Yeah.
Oh, I like Mr. Blue Sky by ELO. That's a good song.
I grew up listening to Electric Light Orchestra and those other things. That's
a
totally
great
fantastic.
song.
Look, those guys.
That's my yard mowing song because I'm always happy when I'm on the lawnmower.
And they were kind of the trailblazers of electric music that we're now seeing. People
And
may not realize
brilliant.
that.
Just brilliant. So if you could have dinner with any 3 Texans, living or dead, who would they be?
I would like to have dinner with a guy named Richard Sansom. He was a delegate at the 1875 Texas Constitutional Convention that created our current Constitution. I'm just fascinated by some of the things he said while he was there. I would love to meet Sam Houston, of course.
That's a great one. Yeah, it's obvious.
Obvious reasons.
Yeah.
And I would also like to meet the judge that did my parents' divorce.
Oh.
It may sound wild.
Why'd you do that? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, it was totally fine. But he chose to have me go with my dad. And that was really rare in the 80s. It was, I think, a good decision. I love my mom, but I don't think I'd be
It's
who
just
I
the way
am
that
today.
it went. Yeah.
And it's the way that it went. And by the time I ever got to learn about that stuff, he had died. And I just kind of would love
Why did you go that way?
Yeah, I would love to meet him and maybe shake his hand and say, hey, your ruling that day still changed the scope and shaped my life. And I just kind of like to meet that guy.
Well, Briscoe, this has been a lot of fun. So thank you for joining me today and for sharing more about you and your work, your priorities, your family, the issues that you're passionate about. I appreciate your time and the opportunity to learn more about you. I hope that the listeners will enjoy hearing more about you. Thank you all for tuning in to Bluebonnet News Headlines and Heartlines. I'm Vanessa Brazier, owner and publisher of Bluebonnet News. Be sure to follow us online for more interviews, updates, and local stories that matter to the community. You'll be able to hear this on Spotify And you can also hear it on KILE Radio FM. It'll be running for 1 week. I don't have the date for that, but it'll be probably in the next 2 to 3 weeks. But thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed it.
I did. I've had to do it again. You're wonderful.
Well, let's not do it again right now. I got to do another one next. I have Trent Ashby coming next, but it was great fun. Thank you.